No, Republicans have gotten weak. I'll give you an example. I said they're weak, they're timid, they're spineless, they're visionless. I said that for a long time. We recently lost John Lewis. I have nothing politically that I agree with John Lewis, except that, and the first day in Atlanta, I got a call to my radio show from then Mayor Maynard Jackson. But I got to know Joseph Lowry, the SCLC. They all come on my program. The mayor would come on my program. Hosea Williams was my favorite guest ever, really close friend of Martin Luther King Jr. John Lewis, Andy Young, and I don't think Andy liked me much, but all these guys I knew when I got to know their story, and it was one of great courage and conviction. And if you look at Selma to Montgomery, if you look at fire hoses and dogs, and I learned this lesson, you see the peaceful protests of that time. They helped make this a more perfect union. They put it all on the line. Here's an interesting side note to this. Because we watched the eulogy with Obama, the eulogy Obama gave at the John Lewis remembrance, and all the politics that he brought up, which I found outrageous.
Yeah. It was a political speech.
It was. It was awful.
Yeah.
But he talked about the John Lewis extension of the Voting Rights Act. And I'm thinking, well, hang on a second, because the guy that's leading your ticket, Joe Biden, the ever corrupt, ever forgetful, ever out of it, Joe Biden. Joe Biden says his mentor and his dear friend was Robert Byrd, the former Klansman. By the way, Hillary said it. Bill said it. Schumer said it. Pelosi said it. So they're So former President Obama is talking about these historic bills that John Lewis absolutely, along with so many others, bravely fought for and made us a more perfect union. Not perfect. We still have a long way to go. And yet they're talking about the act, but the guy that's running actually supported the guy that filibustered that historic legislation. People don't know, and this drives me nuts. Every 2 years, every 4 years, what do they say about Republicans? It's every election cycle. Republicans are racist, sexist, misogynist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic. They want dirty air and water. A Paul Ryan lookalike, it'll probably be a Donald Trump lookalike this year, is going to take Granny in a wheelchair after she's only eaten dog or cat food for a year and throw her over the cliff in the wheelchair. That's every 2 and 4 years. It is atrocious. I went through on Hannity this week a history of how this happens every 2 and 4 years. Well, the Civil Rights Act, Lyndon Johnson needed, and the Voting Rights Act, 80% Republicans, 80% Republicans in the House and Senate, and then you have the mentor of their Democratic presidential candidate praising the guy that filibustered that bill. I mean, that's madness to me. That's the guy that when immigration was coming up, talked about the kids and integration of school as a racial jungle that he was worried about.
Yeah.
Well, Donald Trump said this.
This is an actual quote. This is an actual quote. So I think a lot of people are waking up to this. And I think that's partly because suddenly people can see the clips online, where in the old days you couldn't really see the clips, right? What do you think happened to the Republicans or to the GOP or to conservatives that let this thing get so confused, that the reality of the history compared to the way it's portrayed, is that purely just a media concoction, or do the Republicans have some blame there themselves?
No, Republicans have gotten weak. I'll give you an example. I said they're weak, they're timid, they're spineless, they're visionless. I said that for a long time. When Republicans finally elected, when we finally got a Republican president that would repeal and replace Obamacare, where were the Republicans that voted 60 some odd times to repeal and replace? They disappeared. And they never even had an alternative in place. I had an alternative, either Patient Power, a Cato Institute book by Musgrave and Goodman that I've read years ago, or a doctor that I often put on my show, Dr. Josh Umber, who created in Wichita, Kansas, a healthcare cooperative. It's only $50 a month, 24/7 concierge care. He negotiates directly with pharmaceutical companies. Guess what? $50 a month for an adult, $10 a month for a child, doctor available 24/7. You walk out with the medicines at a 95% reduced rate. You add that with a catastrophic plan. If God forbid you have a heart attack, cancer, or a bad accident, they weren't ready. And then the senators actually voted, Republican senators, 7 of them, voted for the exact same bill they had voted for 2 years, that they voted on 2 years prior, just a straight repeal bill. Now, when it meant something, it didn't mean anything. So I'm angry at them for that. Now, in terms of Republicans allowing this false narrative to go forward, I do it every election year, Dave. I show the same clips. There's a 1998 Missouri radio ad. I went through this week. If you elect Republicans, a cross is going to burn. Or the James Byrd ad in 2000 that said it's like my father was killed all over again because George Bush didn't support hate crime legislation with this horrific dragging death of this innocent man, James Byrd. But George Bush did support the death penalty, so he wanted the guy dead, for that crime, for that inhumanity, that evil. And, or Al Gore goes before a predominantly African-American audience and he changes his tone, his pitch, his cadence. To me, it's like, really? Tries to sound like he's a preacher in a predominantly African-American church. Republicans have the wrong agenda for African-Americans. They don't even want to count you in the census. Or Hillary Clinton, same thing. Predominantly African-American audience. I don't feel no ways tired. I mean, what is this?
She's got hot sauce, Sean. She's got hot sauce in her bag. Don't forget that.
Oh, I do remember that. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Or they're going to put you all back in chains. So this is the playbook. I told everybody as I started the year and before I went on vacation at the end of last year, it's coming. They will do it. It's the playbook. Dirty air, dirty water, racist, sexist, misogynist, straight on through. That's what frustrates me about Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney, the very same people he's now embracing are the very same people that said he was a racist and a sexist and a misogynist. So it's frustrating.
Yeah. The same people. He was running, he had binders full of women. They said he's a misogynist. Now he's the hero. So is that
binders, by the way, were women's resumes so he could hire them. Yeah. Okay. Geez, sorry, I have a resume.
That doesn't make it into the tweets, though. Twitter, it's short, so you got to pick it.
I wouldn't know. I'm off it. I'm in Twitter hell, Twitter prison.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about the media instead of nonstop yelling, check out our media playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, check out the full episode playlist. They're both right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.